Jefferson County Court at Law number 2 is back in session. The court is in session in 3 cases. Cases are cause numbers 23CCCR 1921, cause number M334 246. And the third case is cause number M334 248. All 3 cases are styled the state of Texas versus Kirsty Lorraine Jackson. Ms. Jackson, is that your full name?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson, would you please raise your right hand? Ms. Jackson, do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson, you may put your hand down. How are you doing, Ms. Jackson? That's good, Ms. Jackson. You're represented in your case, in your cases. Let me make sure. Ryan Matuska is on all 3 of them.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You're representing your cases by your attorney Ryan Matuska. Attorney Matuska, how are you doing?
Afternoon.
And Mr. Matuska, do you waive a record in Ms. Jackson's cases?
Yes, Your Honor.
State is represented in this case by Attorney Kobe Hopper. Attorney Hopper, how are you doing?
Good, thank you, Joe.
Ms. Jackson, in cause number 23CCCR 1921, I have before me a document that is titled information. This information was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this information, Ms. Jackson, it alleges that you, Kirsty Lorraine Jackson, on or about December 13th of 2021, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed the Class A misdemeanor offense of theft. Do you understand what you've been charged with?
Yes, sir.
And to this charge, Ms. Jackson, how do you plead guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
I'm guilty.
Ms. Jackson, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson, I also have before me a document that is titled misdemeanor plea admonishment. It's also labeled as State's Exhibit number 1. Ms. Jackson, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
On page 2 of this same document, Ms. Jackson, there are a set of initials, KJ, on the line next to the box that says check guilty. You place your initials on this document.
Yes, sir.
And on the next page of the same document, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document that's titled trial court certification of defendant's right of appeal, do you recognize this document? And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant? At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement? The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes.
I also have before me a document that is titled Discovery Certification. Ms. Jackson, do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson, before you signed and initial these documents that I just showed you, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes, sir.
And did you read and understand everything that he went over?
Yes, sir.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? Ms. Jackson, are you a citizen of the United States? State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1?
Yes, sir.
Any objections?
No objection.
No objection. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Matuska, you advise and counsel Ms. Jackson. Is there any evidence that she is currently mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No, Your Honor.
And Ms. Jackson, your attorney, Mr. Matuska, has advised and counseled you. Are you satisfied with his representation?
Yes.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation? Ms. Jackson, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what, hold on, excuse me. What is that agreement?
In exchange for plea of guilty or no contest, states agree to recommend 1 year in jail, Jefferson County Jail, probated for 1 year. State's going to waive the fine in this particular case. Court costs, we're also waiving community service hours. And there's restitution of $1,000 payable to Alex Pinson. Your Honor,
She says 1,000,
$1,000, yes, sir.
a restitution to, you say Alex Benson?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
Standard terms and conditions.
Okay. What's the court cost?
219.
Okay. Ms. Jackson, state is offering that you serve 1 year in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you'll be placed on probation for 1 year. During this 1 year probationary period, you'll be required to pay court costs in the amount of $292. You'll also be required to pay restitution in the amount of $1,000 to Alex Benson. You'll be required to pay a probation fee of $60 each month. A urinalysis fee of urinalysis fee of $15 each month, and a reimbursement fee of $15. Now your total monthly installments is $201 a month. Will you be able to pay the $201 each month?
Yes, sir.
You will? Okay. You'll also be required to, you'll also be required to adhere to the other standard terms and condition of this probation. The court cost is the community service is being waived, which means you won't have to perform any community service. Now, Ms. Jackson, do you understand the state's offer?
Yes, sir.
Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just?
Yes, sir.
And do you accept the state's offer? Okay, Ms. Jackson, I'll follow the plea bargaining agreement that you have entered into with the state. Ms. Jackson, we will move on to your next case. Your next case is cause number M334-246. And in this case, Ms. Jackson, I have before me an information. And this information, you need, okay. And this hold on a minute. And this information, Ms. Jackson, was filed by the Jefferson County District Attorney's Office. In this this information, Ms. Jackson, it alleges that you, Kirsty Lorraine Jackson, on or about September 5th, 2022, while you were in Jefferson County, Texas, that you committed a Class A misdemeanor offense of possession of a controlled substance. Ms. Jackson, do you understand what you've been charged with? And to this charge, Ms. Jackson, how do you plead guilty? Not guilty, no contest. Ms. Jackson, are you pleading guilty freely and voluntarily? And are you pleading guilty because you are guilty? Ms. Jackson, I also have before me a document that is titled Misdemeanor Plea Admonishments. You recognize this document? On page 2 of the same document, there's a set of initials KJ on above a line that's next to a box that's checked guilty. You place your initials on this document. On page 3 of the same document, there is a signature above the line that is titled defendant. Ms. Jackson, is this your signature?
Yes, sir.
And on the next document, Ms. Jackson, that's titled Trial Court Certification of Defendant's Right of Appeal. Do you recognize this document?
Yes, sir.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant? At the top of this document, there are 2 boxes that's checked. The first box that's checked states that this is a plea bargain case and you have no right of appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes, sir.
The second box that's checked states that you're waiving your right to an appeal, which means you're giving up your right to an appeal. Do you understand that statement?
Yes.
I also have a document before me that is titled Discovery Certification. Ms. Jackson, do you recognize this document?
Yes.
And is this your signature on the line that's titled defendant?
Yes.
Ms. Jackson, before you sign and initial these documents that I just showed you, did your attorney go over these documents with you?
Yes.
And did you read and understand everything in these documents?
Yes.
And is everything in these documents true and correct to the best of your knowledge? State, I have before me State's Exhibit number 1. State, would you like to offer State's Exhibit number 1
Yes, sir.
in the evidence?
Yes, sir.
Any objections, Mr. Matuska?
No objection, Your Honor.
No objection. State's Exhibit number 1 will be admitted. Mr. Matuska, you advised and counseled Ms. Jackson in this case. Is there any evidence in this case that she's mentally incompetent to stand trial?
No evidence, Your Honor.
And Ms. Jackson, your attorney, Mr. Matuska, has advised and counseled you in this case. Are you satisfied with his representation of you in this case?
Yes.
Has he provided full, effective, and competent legal representation?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Jackson, I will accept your plea of guilty. I will find that you are mentally competent to stand trial. I will also find that your plea and waivers were freely and voluntarily given. And I will also find that there is sufficient evidence to find you guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. State, do we have a plea bargain agreement?
We do, Your Honor.
And what is that agreement?
In exchange for plea of guilty or no contest, the executive recommends 60 days in Jefferson County Jail. The defendant has credit for 60 days, therefore this will be a time served judgment. We ask the tax or retire the court cost.
Ms. Jackson, state is offering that you serve 60 days in the Jefferson County Jail. However, you will not be required to serve any more time in jail in this case because you've already served 60 days in Jefferson County Jail. Therefore, you'll be given credit for the time that you've already served. And the court costs in this case will be taxed and retired. What that means is you will not be required to pay the court costs because the time that you have spent in jail has already paid it off. Therefore, the court costs will be taxed and retired. Ms. Jackson, do you understand the state's offer? Do you think that the state's offer in your case is fair and just? Do you accept the state's offer? Ms. Jackson, I'll follow the plea bargain agreement that you have entered into with the state. State, we have cause number M334248.
Yes, Your Honor. That in agreement for the plea on the 246, that you're going to dismiss that cause number 248 And therefore, that'll end all the papers that Ms. Jackson's on here in Jefferson County.
Okay, Ms. Jackson, do you understand that state will be dismissing cause number M334248? Okay, and you think it's a fair judgment, a fair offer, a just and fair offer in these cases?
Yes.
Okay, all right, I'll be signing this dismissal. Ms. Jackson, you're gonna stand next to your attorney in front of our clerk and follow her directions. Once you finish following her directions, Ms. Jackson, you can follow the bailiff, and you have a blessed day.
Thank you, Ron.
You're
Good luck.
welcome.
Good luck, Ms.
And
Jackson.
Mr. Matuska, you're free to go. You have a blessed day as well.
Thank you, Judge.
And you have a blessed day as well,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hoffbar.
See you tomorrow. Good. See you tomorrow. Thank you.
Have a seat. I have a big fellow in the past.
Oh, the same thing this morning.
You need COVID for
Okay,
anything?
files in case they don't put them in.
No, there you go.
Okay. This will conclude the calling of the court's announcement docket, the trial docket, and the pretrial conference docket on today's date of September 18th, 2023, in County Court at Law number 2, Jefferson County, Texas. Everyone, please have a blessed